And it is your claim that the defendant owes you for certain expenses for your older child.
That is correct.
That he agreed to pay. The defendant says he never agreed to pay any additional expenses, that his child support obligations were concluded. He fulfilled the obligation for that child. I assume you still have an outstanding order for the younger one?
Yes.
Okay, so let me get some dates down. The two of you were married when?
2000.
And how old are your two boys?
I have a 20-year-old and I have a 17-year-old.
When were you divorced?
2014.
And at the time of the divorce, was a support order entered for both boys?
Not immediately, no.
When?
We separated for probably 2 years before some kind of arrangement was made.
But I'm saying you were divorced in 2014.
Yes.
At that time, was a support obligation put into place in your divorce?
Yes.
Yes. And what was that for each of the boys?
Total monthly, I got, I believe, $600 a month.
For both boys?
For both boys.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And this was all until the boys were 18 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
And your case alleges that when the older boy turned 18, Mr. Casey terminated his support obligation to that child.
The morning he turned 18, he called
That was
court.
his support obligation, and he fulfilled it under the terms of the divorce decree.
That morning.
And stopped paying support for that child. How old is that child now?
20.
So that's 2 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that boy doing now?
He is a manager at a fitness place.
So he's working?
He's working.
Full-time?
Full-time.
And has he been working full-time since he graduated from high school?
He's just recently, about 6 months ago, started working full-time. He was going to school also, part-time.
Is he living at home?
Yes.
Okay. What you're suing for now is certain expenses, car repairs and medical bills.
Correct.
Which came first, the medical bills or the car repairs?
The car repairs first.
And when was it that car repairs were needed for the car?
It was on March 17th, 2023.
2023?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's another one for the car on May 16th.
Of 2023?
Of 2023.
And the medical bills?
Wisdom teeth was May 15th, 2023.
So, based upon the dates that you've just given me, all three of these bills were incurred when your son was working full-time.
Correct.
And he lives with you.
Correct.
Does he pay you rent? Is not an answer. Does he pay you rent?
He pays some.
Be very careful. Does your son pay you rent? The answer is yes.
No, he does not.
Why not?
Because he doesn't make enough.
How much does he make?
He makes $9.98 an hour.
He works full-time.
He works full-time. He makes about $600 per every 2 weeks.
That's sort of interesting. Your son is working. Don't do that. This is her case so far. Why in the world would you ask your ex-husband to pay for things for his adult child who is working full-time and living at home rent-free? Why?
Because he didn't have insurance. He didn't have the money to cover for the procedure.
Well, just a minute. That's talking about the dentist. Dentists would always take payments. He works full-time and he has a car.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't he pay for his own car repairs?
He doesn't make enough.
What does he spend his money on?
What does he spend his money on? He spends the money on gas. He spends money on food. He does buy groceries. He buys the groceries.
Just a second. He buys groceries for your whole household?
Yes, he will. Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
He does.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that he buys groceries for your whole household. Do you work?
I do.
Full-time?
I do.
And you, sir?
Yes, 2 jobs.
Okay. Now, what I'd like you to do is tell me, Miss Casey, your version of the contract that you entered into with your husband. When did that take place? Because you understand he is under no legal obligation to pay for anything at all. So I'd like you to tell me the circumstances and the date in which you entered into this contract with him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, prior to that, he was having a difficult time. I let him stay at my place until he I let Roderick stay at my place until he can get back on his feet.
Just a second.
And he said,
I don't uncross your arms. I don't know what you mean. You mean you allowed your former husband to move into your house?
To sleep on the couch, yes, because he had nowhere to go.
When?
I think it was in October, maybe, of last year.
October of 2022?
Yes, ma'am. And that's when I said, Roderick, I'm going to let you stay here. I'm going to help you until you can get on your feet. But you've got to help me with the boy. He's going to have his teeth pulled.
Oh, no, you didn't say all that to him in October of 2022. And then in May of 2023, he had dental work. You didn't anticipate that. I don't believe that, Miss Casey. If what you're telling me is that while he was staying with you and sleeping on the couch, you said to him, you can stay with me until you get on your feet.
Yes.
But then thereafter, you have to help me out with the boys. And he said, okay.
Yes.
Okay, is that the contract you're talking about?
Yes.
It's invalid. There's no contract.
Even though he agreed to say, I will help you.
Whatever agreement you thought you had is void for vagueness. It has to be set. Now, if you called him in May and said, there's an outstanding dental bill for Noah, would you pay it? Because he doesn't have enough money to pay it, and I have other expenses, and he said, yes, I'll pay it. That's a different story. But if you say to him, in October of 2022, I'll let you stay on the couch, but you have to continue to help me out with the boys, and he said, I will, that is not a contract.
I told him, you have to help me. I still need help. Even his mother knew that.
No, I don't care what his mother knew. I'm telling you, it's not a contract. It's not an enforceable contract in the law. It's void for vagueness. He can say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you $10. That's help. I'm going to give you $20. I'll give you $100. What, instead of the dental bills being what they were $20,000. Would you expect him to pay that? What if the car bill, instead of being $500, was $2,500? See, he doesn't know. That's what I mean when they say void for vagueness. Neither one of you knew what he was contracting for. As a matter of fact, based upon what you just said to me, March and 2 bills in May, you didn't even know what they were going to be back in October.
No, you're correct. He knew once I received a bill how much it was.
Oh, be very careful, because that's not what you said to me before. I don't care whether he knew what the bills were. Did he agree to pay it in May of 2023?
He agreed.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding him agreeing, because now you're changing your story.
I called him. Actually, not him, his mom. I always contact him through his mom. He doesn't take my calls.
Well, yeah.
And I told him.
No, you didn't tell him.
I told her to tell her son that this is how much the bill is. And that he needs to pay it. And then she said she will contact.
She will tell him?
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then he said he would. He would.
Oh, just a second. So he called you and said, I'll pay for the bill?
He did, I believe, yes.
Oh, no, I don't believe you, Miss Casey.
No, he did.
Miss Casey, I don't believe that he called you. You said, I don't speak to him. I speak to him through his mother. So now you're telling me that after you called his mother and gave her a figure, he called you and said, I will pay for it? Nah, didn't happen, Miss Casey. I can ask him. And if he's together, he's going to tell me.
Nope. She did not call me.
Did you call her?
Nope.
Who is this?
My mother.
Could you stand up, please? What is your last name?
Casey.
Miss Casey, do you remember when the plaintiff called you and said, I have this dental bill?
Of course I remember, because I paid it.
Which bill did you pay?
To get his teeth extracted in May.
How much was it?
Oh, $2,300, I think.
Just curious, did you make it directly to the dentist?
I was at the orthodontist when his teeth were pulled, and I carried him home.
You went with him and you paid the bill?
I did.
Miss Casey, is that accurate?
That's
very easy.
Yes.
Well, then why are you suing him?
He still owes me the money for the prescriptions that he didn't pay for and the copay.
Miss Casey, I'm dismissing your case, and I'm going to tell you, I don't believe you. I think that you were very surprised to see Mr. Casey's mother here, because if you were being truthful with me when I asked you the dates of bills that you were expecting him to pay for, and you said dental extractions and 2 car bills, you should have said that dental extractions were not his responsibility because his mother paid for those. Why didn't you tell me that?
Because I owe her that money.
She owes me that money, but she owes me about $100,000 more because I've been paying for them since they divorced, for all the extra stuff. I know you know what it's like.
I do. Has Mrs. Casey been helping you since the divorce?
Yes, she has.
So, why are you here today? You're getting more than your judgment of divorce provided for. Your former husband's mother has assumed a responsibility for whatever reason, and I don't have to go into it right now. Not necessary.
Later.
But much later, has assumed a responsibility that was not her responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Has she ever sued you for any of the money she's given you since 2014?
No.
So she's just taken care of her grandchildren.
No.
What? Say thank you and goodbye, Mrs. Casey.
Yes.
Say thank you and goodbye. We're done here.
Thank you.
Case is dismissed.
All right.
This court is adjourned.